Hey YouTube, this is Music Park Fan 62. In today's video, I'm here to talk about my overall thoughts on the uh, releases of, I think it's like 15 superstars for WWE. Now, if you're not aware, on Friday, May 2nd, hours before SmackDown went on air, it was announced that several backstage hands were released. And at the time, there was no mention if any superstars were going to get released. With a couple hours before SmackDown went on air, names started to get released of stars who have been released from their contracts. Now, some of these have been are big names. Some of these are main roster, and some of these are NXT. And I want to give my overall thoughts about them, especially because there's a tag team in here. So let's get started. First, we have Caden Carter and Katana Chance. Now, this was a popular tag team that was on NXT during the 2.0 phase, and then went up to Raw. So their gimmick was like a party girl gimmick, where so the promo packages where they were at like outdoor concerts and raves and stuff like that, and their music was kind of neat because it was like a countdown, and then it had like dance party type music. But the main problem with it was on Raw and SmackDown was, for some reason, they just never got over. And they did not ever really have a chance to improve themselves in a way WWE wanted them to. Just like Isla Dawn, who got released back in February, with her and she's with Chelsea Green now, Alba Fire. They just did not really give them much of a chance. I think on Raw, Kaden and Katana only had like 2 or 3 matches as a tag team. And then they got traded to SmackDown back in February during the transfer portal. And they only wrestled, I think, once, maybe twice. And it's a shame because both are very talented. Katana came from the American Ninja Warrior show. So she had potential. It's just they really weren't given much of a chance when they came up. When they were on NXT, they had a bunch of exposure. So, they competed for the tag team championships several times. They won it, I think, once or twice. But it's just, it was a surprise. The next one is Dakota Kai. Now, the thing with Dakota is she is very talented, and she went to compete for the I think it was the mid-card title a couple of times, but she failed. And her main problem has been she's been very injury prone. She had several surgeries to repair stuff, just like her former partner, who also got released back in February, Tegan Knox. And I just think in the long run, WWE did not want to deal with those types of surgeries. So it's one of those situations where, they're trying to look out for themselves and the performer, but it gets to a point where they had to wonder, is it worth paying this person whatever their contract is, and just for them to be on the sidelines. Supposedly Dakota was supposed to be coming back soon anyway, to reunite the Kabuki Warriors, or Damage Control. The next one is Braun Strowman. Now, let me say this about Braun. For a big man of his size and his nature, he is very talented. One of the main reasons why he got over was his train type gimmick, where toward the end, toward the end of the match, he would kind of do like this. Then he would run around the ring like a choo-choo train and knock over whoever he was competing against. It seems like when Triple H took over, he did not see the value in Braun that Vince McMahon did. And ever since Triple H took over, Braun, I shouldn't say became an afterthought. It's just I don't think Triple H looked at him as highly as Vince did. Now, with Caden and Katana, Triple H, I think, did look at them fairly well. It's just they just never got the opportunities that they deserve. Dakota is the same way. The next one is also a Triple H person, and that is Shayna Baszler. Now, this one is one of the interesting ones in the group, because Shayna Baszler is on the older side compared to a lot of these other people. Shayna Baszler is like 42, 43, I think, somewhere in that ballpark. And it's just, I know they were having Shayna and then her tag partner at the time, Zoe Stark. They were both having frustrations because, they weren't on the WrestleMania card. They weren't on stuff like Raw after Mania. They haven't been on any Raws that I know of recently. Maybe they've been doing main event and stuff like that. But it's just... And then the problem with Shayna is she was like a protege for Ronda Rousey. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Shayna was the last person Ronda wrestled before she left the company. And it's one of those situations where I don't know if, supposedly they looked at a bunch of factors when they were deciding who to release. I did hear supposedly age was a factor in that, but I don't know if it's for certain. The next one is Gigi Dolan. Okay, now, Gigi, in my opinion, did not make a lot of sense getting released because she was working both NXT and TNA tapings. She just did some TNA tapings recently. Her and Tatum Paxley just competed for a chance for the TNA Knockouts tag titles, I think it was. And it's one of those situations where Gigi was not getting the respect she deserves. And it's one of those things where I don't know if the company was seeing highly of her or not. While she was getting featured quite a bit on NXT, through different stuff with Tatum Paxley and competing for the NXT title a couple of times and all this other stuff, I don't know if they were like, yes, we need to push her type thing. And it seems like ever since Toxic Attraction split, Gigi unfortunately has gotten the small stick of that group, where her former tag partner JC Jane, has been doing stuff like going to TNA with Fallon and Jasmine Nix, and all this other stuff. Gigi unfortunately hasn't had much success, other than her feud with JC. Next one is Cora Jade. Now, the thing with Cora is, unfortunately, she's a lot like Dakota in this situation. She has gotten hurt several times. A couple of them have been major. And so she's been out for several months at a time. And then she would come back. And then even when she would come back, she would wrestle here and there. And I would say even going into Stand and Deliver, the only reason why she was on TV was she got added to the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT title. Cora as a whole is not a bad gimmick, whatever her gimmick was, but it's just from what I've been hearing about her and stuff outside of the ring, I've heard stuff like she's hard to work with, and all this other stuff. And suppose there was stuff that came out yesterday about supposedly she got body shamed by management and co-workers and even the fans, which is maybe one of the reasons why she got enhancements. Because there was about 6 months to a year difference between her and Roxanne Perez. Cora came in first, and then about 6 months to a year later, Roxanne Perez came in. And it seems like the company maybe liked Roxanne better because maybe she was a lot better to deal with. I don't entirely know because Roxanne has been in most of the title discussions recently, and it's plus Roxanne is doing on Raw right now, even though she's an NXT star and all this other stuff. Well, Cora's just kind of sitting on the sidelines. I know she's been doing NXT live events and stuff like that. So that one did not make a lot of sense. I would also highly suggest you, if you are on Twitter/X, you look at the conversation with Gigi and Cora as they call out Dave Meltzer on his BS about supposedly certain things with it. And mind you, Cora and Gigi are only in their mid-20s. So it's not like, they have to retire next week type thing. So I do see both of them coming back to WWE eventually. But the best thing for them to do is go out, show themselves that WWE made a big mistake, and they should come back calling. The next one is Eddie Thorpe. Okay, now with Eddie Thorpe, talent wise, he's not terrible. It's just, it seemed like when he was on screen, ratings would go down. And honestly, he looked like he belonged with the bloodline, just with some of the tattoos he had and all that other stuff. And I'm honestly surprised they didn't put him in the bloodline. And it's one of those situations where he was in title talks a lot with his feud with Trick Williams. But it's just, he just was okay. He, seemed like he didn't really improve a whole lot. So I think that's partially one of the reasons why he got canned. The next one is Riley Osborne. Now, fun fact for some people, I don't know if you know or not, but he is actually married to Blair Davenport, who got released back in February. Supposedly, one of the reasons why they canned him, I don't know if this is true, but supposedly he didn't want to do Evolve. I don't know if that's true, but also he is injured right now. So I will say this, I'm a big WWE person, but that makes them look bad when you do that, especially when they're injured and they just had surgery a couple of months ago. The next one is Jakara Jackson. Now, she was part of Metaphor with Lash Legend. And it seemed like Lash was doing a lot better in the ring than Jakara was. But I don't exactly blame Lash on this, as it seemed like they were pushing Jakara, or pushing Lash more, as Jakara never really got the opportunities. Supposedly they flew her out to the Rumble in February, but she didn't go out. Just like with Shotzi. Oh, that's another person. Alexa took her place. So it's a shame, but from what it's sounding like as of now, Shotzi does have a good future ahead of her. She's starting to look at bookings once her contract expires. I think because she is on a main roster contract, her contract's not going to be available for 90 days. So you're looking at almost July or so, maybe early August. So it's going to be well into the summer before she can do anything wrestling related. I don't know if those contracts say anything about stuff like, Comic Cons or Wrestle Cons or anything like that. But I know for a fact they can't wrestle during that time. Kaden, Katana, Dakota, and Braun and Shayna are all on main roster contracts, so they follow the same situations. Gigi and Cora and Eddie and Riley all fall under the NXT one, so they only have to wait till June to do anything. The next one is Gallus. Now, the thing with Gallus has been they really haven't been booked properly recently. And in fact, they've barely been shown much at all. So that could be a factor in it. The next one is Ora Menza. I think that's how you say his name. Um, Honestly, he did not get much of a chance. Um, I don't think it was ever on NXT TV. He just never got a chance. And then you have Javier Bernal, who, if you don't know who he is, he's actually married to Tatum Paxley. Um, Same with him. Um, I think he was still in the phase of getting to TV. Just like uh, one or two of the stars on Raw whose boyfriends are on NXT. The other one I forgot to mention as well is Shotzi Blackheart. She just learned that WWE's not renewing her contract. So I think with that's completely different because with her, she can do whatever she wants once that contract is up. Um, and I think hers is about less than a month. Now, I will say this, it is awfully weird timing because it was announced today on Monday, May the 5th, that WWE has essentially signed several wrestlers from AAA, which they just bought about 2 weeks ago during WrestleMania. Now, one supposedly, but I'm hearing they haven't, is Alberto Del Rio. I don't see them bringing him in just with all the controversy he has had in the past, and I'm sure because WWE still has to deal with sponsorships and stuff like that, so I doubt they want to piss them off. Now, I am sorry if I mispronounce some of these names, as they are Hispanic names. Now, some of these may be just ring-based names. The next one you have Hio Del Wagner. Honestly, I have no idea who that is. Like most of these other people. But it's just it seems like very odd timing you would sign these people and then you would release 15 or 16, somewhere in there. The next one you have Hio del Vikingo. Now, this person has been on AEW TV, so I don't know if this is just like a big finger to AEW for not signing him or what, but from what I understand, a lot of the AEW fans are not entirely that happy right now with him essentially being under the WWE banner. You have La Parker. So you have around 3 or 4. So you have several women that are coming into the company as well. So you have La Parker, you have La Hindra, La Flamer, Lady Marvilla, and Neo Nam Bergusa. Now, I will find out who, and I will put it down below. But Stephanie Vakor, who's currently on NXT, she has a restraining order against one of these women from her time in CMLL. Now, I don't know if something, they just went from CMLL to AAA, I'm not entirely sure. So I will put that down below, who that is. Um, but I will say this before I end this video. It sucks that a multi-billion-dollar company in WWE has released around, I've heard it's like 38 people total this year alone, and that will probably go up as the year goes on. But unfortunately, it's just business, and but there is still a future for all these men and women outside of WWE. So you have companies like TNA, AEW, the independent scene. Then you also have the independent scene for the UK and all this other stuff. So it's not the end of the world, and I'm sure some of these will get hired back eventually.